What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today, we're going to be reviewing the 15th Doctor Ncuti Gatwa story, The Legend of Ruby Sunday. So it is the first part of the two-part finale for Season 1/Series 13. The finale is finally here. It's a two-part finale, and oh boy, we've got some stuff to talk about here. I actually don't have a whole lot of notes for this one. Maybe it's just because I was so enthralled the whole time that I didn't make too many notes. But I have got a few, and I've definitely got some stuff to talk about here just off the bat. So let's just get straight into it with the cast. Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. He is awesome. I really like him in this one. I mean, he's getting better and better in the role. There are still things here and there that I don't like about him. Or not that I don't like about him, but that I'm just not as big of a fan of. But in this episode, there's not a lot of that. He's a lot more serious in this one. There's not too much silly stuff going on. There's not cringy stuff going on. And he is just really, really good. Yeah, great chemistry with everybody in the cast. I love when he enters unit and he's, saying hello to everyone, all the people that he's meeting for the first time. Just, he has such great chemistry from the bat with everybody, and he's just so good. Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday. She is also very, very good in this story. I do always pretty much say that the main cast are good because, yeah, on the most part, they're never bad. There are just certain things about, usually characters, not necessarily the actors, that I don't like. But once again, yeah, in this one, Ruby is very good. Millie Gibson is very good in the role, and yeah, has plenty to do in this one as well. Is obviously a big part of this story because of the whole Legend of Ruby Sunday title, and yeah, does a great job. I will also mention a couple of other characters in this story. First of all, Bonnie Langford as Mel Bush. Mel is back once again, and Bonnie Langford is so good back in this role. This has really given Mel's character a kind of a second lease on life, because of course when she was originally in the show with the end of the Sixth Doctor, but mostly with the Seventh Doctor for that short period of time, she was not the most liked companion, and I have pretty much seen every one of her episodes bar one, which I have actually watched, Tales from the Batman, in the past, but I haven't watched it for a long time and haven't done a review on it yet. But I am definitely not a fan of Mel as a character in the classic series, but the couple of times we've seen her return in the new series recently, she's been very good. Still has the feel that I get from Mel, but she's toned it down a lot. She's not just this screaming woman. She's obviously a lot older, and I think Bonnie Langford just puts in a brilliant performance, and it's awesome to see her back. Also, Gemma Redgrave as Kate Stewart. Kate is back again. Of course, we briefly saw her in 73 Yards, but we see her properly here. And yeah, she's really good. Finally, Kate seems like she's a bit more of an interesting character. I felt like with, mainly with Matt Smith, she didn't really, and I mean, I guess Peter Capaldi, just through that Moffat run, she never really felt like she had much character. She was a little bit better in like Flux. It wasn't amazing, but a little bit better. But since she's come back with Russell T Davies, I've actually really enjoyed Kate's character and thought she was really good here. And the last one I'll mention is Yasmin Finney as Rose Noble. Yep, we see Rose back again, of course, back from the Giggle. And yeah, she doesn't do a whole lot in this story, but it's nice to see her back again. The chemistry with her and the Doctor is always good as well. And yeah. Right, so let's get into some points on this episode. First of all, the woman we've been seeing every episode is called Susan Triad in this kind of modern universe, in this modern times. So yes, we finally get our answers to the Susan Twist character, which we'll get onto later, but it starts off with figuring out that the woman in our main universe, our main time on Earth, is called Susan Triad. And from what we understand, she's kind of the original version of this character, and we'll explain all that stuff later, but yeah, it's nice that we finally got some stuff going on with this character. Of course, big reveal at the end of this one in regards to all that, which we will definitely get to, but yeah, I thought the actress Susan Twist playing her in this one, we hadn't seen a whole lot from her in previous episodes. This is the most we've seen from her by a long way, and I thought she put in a great performance and was a very interesting character, and definitely was keeping me guessing of what is going on here. There was thoughts initially that, because they mentioned Susan, the Doctor's granddaughter Susan, and for most of the episode they were saying, the Doctor was saying maybe this could be Susan. I fairly early on thought, I don't think it is. I don't think this is Susan. I think they were trying to get to the fact that maybe she had, had a fog watch, had put herself into the fog watch and was seeing, was human because she came up on their scanner as human. And they kind of were like, yeah, that's fair enough. That makes sense. I think they were trying to get to the fact that maybe, she's done what the Doctor did or what the Master did in Utopia, put himself into the watch to appear human, but there was something else weird going on. That's what they were trying to get to. But straight from the beginning, I just didn't feel like, this was actually going to be Susan. I thought it's too obvious of a thing. The fact that her name, the actress is called Susan Twist, and the character was called Susan Triad, I think that's where they were trying to go with it. But for me, it felt too obvious, and yeah, that wasn't the case, thankfully. Mel is working undercover for UNIT, looking into Susan. So I liked Mel's part of this story, how that she was kind of off undercover, working for UNIT, trying to figure out what this Susan Triad character was, what she was about. They'd say that, oh, it turns out she's actually a really nice woman, and, she doesn't seem weird at all. And I mean, she really doesn't have anything going on with her. It's everything going on at the end that, yeah, makes her what she is. But generally, she is just a woman in this story. And, yeah, I loved Mel going undercover. I thought that was that was really good. Giving her something proper to do here was awesome. UNIT has a time window that can relay moments from the past. So I like this. They had a room. I love that scene, by the way, where, the Doctor was like, do you have a time window? And Kate was like, you told us that we should never, ever have a time window. It is against everything you say we shouldn't have a time window. And he's like, do you have a time window? She's like, yeah, 10 floors down. We've got a time. You told us not to get one, but we've got one. And I love that as a moment. There was the moments between Kate and the Doctor and just everyone and the Doctor. I think, once again, this is a story where Ncuti felt the most doctory in this episode. Just, I think, having all these people around us, and especially because there was quite a few characters and, that we already knew from previous stories and previous Doctor's incarnations, I think that in itself made Ncuti's Doctor feel more like the Doctor than he ever has. But also just the way they communicated and everything and the feel of it just felt very, very doctory. And yeah, it is the most doctory I think I've felt Ncuti's Doctor be so far. But yeah, they have this time window thing, and it basically relays moments from the past, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to, well, one, figure out who this Susan person is, and also trying to figure out what who Ruby's mother is, and they're going to do that by going into the time window, looking back at when Ruby was dropped off that Christmas Eve in 2004, and yeah, that whole scene plays out, and it's a pretty cool scene. I did quite like it. I've seen a few people say on Twitter that they think that dragged out a little bit, but I think it just built up the suspense and it was exciting. The Colonel disappears and some creature appeared. So I knew straight away, they said when they were in this time, the time window, the Doctor was like, you really can't move too much. If you move too much, it might disturb things. The Colonel, because they find, I like that whole scene where Ruby's mum, who we think's Ruby's mum, whoever dropped Ruby off, is there. She drops the baby off. She's walking away. Then we see the Doctor land, and that all plays out from the church on Ruby Road. I liked that whole thing. Then the woman turns around, points towards the Doctor, but it's like, is she pointing at the Doctor? What's going on here? The Doctor then leaves, and it's like, what's going on? Oh no, he goes in the TARDIS but doesn't leave, just kind of sits there, and then we're wondering what's going on. The Colonel then starts moving around to see what's going on. He's trying to look behind the TARDIS. Is there anything there? He's like, no, there's nothing there. Then he's like, I'm just going to go have another look, and he kind of goes behind the TARDIS, and he goes out, and you can't see him anymore, and straight away, it takes a while for it to be revealed, but straight away I'm like, well, he's not coming back then, is he? He has gone. He's probably dead now. And that ended up being the case. But that whole scene, so suspenseful. Just, that whole scene was just amazing. This thing is doing something to the TARDIS. So I really like this as a concept. The TARDIS is almost kind of played as a villain in this story, or actually more of a host. So throughout the season, really since, I think of it since... what's it called? Wild Blue Yonder. That's when the TARDIS has been having these issues and making this weird groaning noise. And the Doctor brings it up. He's like, I've heard that noise before. the TARDIS keeps making this strange noise, but he's kind of just, you know, brushed it off in the past, like, oh, whatever, it is just what it is. But it's happened quite often throughout this season since Wild Blue Yonder. In Wild Blue Yonder, it was just kind of down to, well, Donna spilt coffee on the console and the TARDIS wasn't very happy, so that's why it was making this noise. But it's still been doing that ever since, quite often. So turns out something has kind of gotten into the TARDIS, has become one with the TARDIS, and that's what this being, this creature is. It's kind of played host to the TARDIS. And just the suspense of course, the Doctor was off with trying to figure out what was going on with Susan, and the TARDIS was back at unit, and everybody was looking at the TARDIS, and the way it was shot, the directed, the music, the suspensefulness of just the TARDIS just sitting there making these groaning noises. I never thought I could be terrified of the TARDIS, but I was. Susan has dreams about these different versions of herself. So yeah, the Doctor goes up to Susan because he originally goes there to be like, all right, if I look into her eyes and talk to her, I'll know if it's actually Susan, my granddaughter, or not. He goes there, I think pretty early on, figures out that it's not Susan, but then he says, do you have dreams? She's like, yeah, I do. I have all these dreams. But she, she has to go off and do this presentation, this live feed thing to the world, or whatever she's doing, this live TV thing. And she's talking about dreams. And then once she's in the actual, live thing, this thing starts taking over and she starts talking about these dreams and her head starts getting, something weird starts going on. And yeah, the suspense from that point is just building and building, with that happening with her, with the TARDIS, with everything. The suspense at the end of this episode is like nothing I've seen in a long time in Doctor Who. Harriet is Harbinger. So Harbinger is brought back up again. Of course, if you remember from the Devil's Cord, Harbinger was that kind of little child that was with Maestro, and kind of appeared. I mean, we thought they died, but at the end of the episode appeared and like closed the door and went into that room, and we were like, oh, what's going on there? Turns out that Harriet, one of the women that worked at UNIT, she is the Harbinger. Harbinger? I don't know if I'm saying it right. She's apparently that child. So yeah, that was a reveal that I did not see coming at all. I didn't think we were going to see that Harbinger again, to be completely honest. I know, yes, we did see them at the end of the Devil's Claw, but I don't know, I just had kind of totally forgotten about that and thought nothing was going to come of it. But yeah, she starts talking and saying weird things, and that's once again, more things added to the suspense. And then finally, the godlike creature is revealed, and it is Sutekh. It's Sutekh. Now, I'd heard, not rumors, I'd heard people saying, who was this godlike creature going to be? Because we had a feeling that, it was going to be another one of these godlike creatures, like Maestro, like the Toymaker. There was going to be another godlike creature in this episode. It was building up to that. A lot of people did say Sutekh. Sutekh was thrown around as an option. The Beast from the Impossible Planet, the Satan Pit, was another one that was brought up. And honestly, I think it was once we saw the kind of smoky creature around the TARDIS in that time window and heard the voice of it, and it also mentioned something about being from hell, or the Colonel had gone to hell. I was like, oh, well, I reckon this is the Beast. This is Satan from the Satan's Pit. And I was pretty confident that's what this was going to be. But it wasn't. It turned out it was Sutekh. Sutekh is back. Since Pyramids of Mars, his first and only appearance so far, up until this point, with the Fourth Doctor in 1975 or whatever it was, Sutekh is back. And I am excited. I'm a little bit nervous bringing back a villain as big and amazing as Sutekh was back in that story. He was so good. Pyramids of Mars is one of my favorite classic Who stories. It is such a good story. Sutekh is such a good villain. So I'm very excited to see the character back, but I'm hoping that they do him justice. I'm excited with what I saw at the end of this story, but it depends what they do with him in the next story. Please, please make this work, because my God, he looks, when he was finally revealed, the dog-like look of him in this form, the CGI I think it was CGI. It just looked awesome. He looked really, really cool. The voiced by Gabriel Wolf, was so menacing, and the fear and everything just, and that Sutek is in unit now with all them, and the Doctor's not there. So what's going to happen next episode? I am honestly so pumped for the next episode. I cannot wait. So there we have it. That is The Legend of Ruby Sunday. Now, a rating out of 10. I was very nearly going to give this a 10 out of 10. But because it is part 1 of a 2-parter and I can't really give it everything until I've seen that second part, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Maybe that's too high for some people. I don't know. This, if the final episode doesn't work for me, it will mean that this episode goes downhill for me. But if the final part is good and it wraps things up well, this could be a 10 out of 10 episode for me. Honestly, the suspense is something like I haven't seen in Doctor Who probably since Russell's era, maybe a bit of Matt Smith's era. There is some, or maybe like World Enough and Time was the last time I felt this invested in a finale, especially. But this one, it takes the cake out of everything of this season for sure. And I'd say out of everything from Chibnall and Jodie's era as well. It just, the suspense, I'm honestly taken back for words. I really love this story. I've seen a lot of people online saying that, but no, this episode isn't going to age very well though, because it's not going to be very rewatchable, because it's an episode full of build up, so that's not going to be very good to rewatch. But is that not the case of every 2-part finale, or just 2-parter in general? The first episode is building up to what is going to come in the final episode. That is every 2-part finale. Battle of Parting of the Ways, it's building up to the Daleks. Same goes for Army of Ghosts Doomsday. The Master finale, it's 3-parter, so it works a bit different, but I guess from Utopia to Sound of Drums, it's working up to the Master. So in that regard, you could say, Utopia, there's no point watching that because it's building up to the Master reveal. And then, that's pretty much the case for any 2-part finale. So I don't agree with that as a point, but a 9.5 out of 10 for The Legend of Ruby Sunday. I am so excited. I am so hopeful that the final episode is going to deliver, because my God, at this point in time, I am the most hyped I've been for Doctor Who in many years. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.